Hi, and welcome to My Story with Care Credit. We all have stories, but what makes these stories unique is that they are about people who are able to get life-changing treatment, procedures, or medical care for themselves, their family, and their pets. All of the people featured on My Story with Care Credit did it with their Care Credit credit card. Care Credit is a leading national healthcare credit card that can enable you to get many of the procedures and treatments you want now and pay over time with everyday promotional financing on purchases of $200 or more. Care Credit is accepted at hundreds of thousands of locations nationwide to pay for care whenever you need and want it. I'm your host, Amy Freena, and I'm excited to share this story about a Care Credit cardholder whose dog needed a surgery. She needed to come up with the funds immediately or she would have to surrender the pet. This story has some real surprises.
Hi, I'm Rebecca, and I've been a Care Credit user for 5 years. So I moved to LA about 7 years ago with Brooklyn, and Brooklyn is a very high maintenance but wonderful dog. I would take her to the dog park every day, and she discovered her love for small tennis balls, and in order to keep them for herself, decided to start swallowing them. It didn't seem to be a problem at first. She would spit them back out until one day she didn't, and then we took her to the vet because she started acting kind of funny. And they did some x-rays and turned out that she had swallowed a tennis ball that had lodged in her intestines. They told me that I needed to get her emergency surgery and that if I waited until Monday, the chances of her dying were pretty high. Because it's an emergency vet, it costs about twice the amount that a regular vet surgery would have costed. I saw a little brochure for Care Credit and I used it, and Care Credit really came in and saved my dog's life, actually. To just be able to take a decision on the spot that you know you need and handle it, it's a huge and super helpful option. Thank you, Care Credit, for saving Brooklyn's life.
Hey, I'm Amy, and we are live from the studio in downtown Los Angeles, and we are here with Rebecca, who is going to share her Care Credit story with us. How are you today?
Doing well, thanks.
So let me ask you, when did you first hear about Care Credit?
I heard about Care Credit when I was in an emergency vet clinic. Saw a brochure.
Okay, so why were you in an emergency vet clinic?
One of my dogs got very sick, and we thought it was one thing, and then it ended up not being that thing and being something else. So she was on medication for a while, and then as soon as we took her off the medication, she got kind of much worse very quickly.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it was horrible. So it was on a Friday night.
Okay.
So I called my vet, which you can't really call a vet for any kind of emergency on a Friday night because they basically close. So they told me that I should go and see an emergency veterinarian because if I waited until Monday, the chances of her dying were pretty high.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was definitely urgent.
And scary.
And super scary.
Yeah.
So yeah, I immediately ran to the emergency vet clinic, and they told me that they needed to do emergency surgery, and they gave me the quote for how much it was going to cost, and it was about double the amount that my regular vet would charge, which is just the case for, it was probably the middle of, it was at night, probably like 9 or 10 at night. So, so I went in and they quoted me about $4,000, and I obviously didn't have.
You didn't have
that
any
kind
pocket.
of. Typically I walk around with that kind of
right.
cash, but no, I didn't. On that Friday night, I didn't have it. So my options were to pay for the surgery or to surrender the dog. Which in that case, they'll do the surgery, but then you don't get the dog back. Then they take it to a rescue or they put it up for adoption, and that was not an option for me.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was like, well, I'll definitely do the surgery. Yeah, and they had just a brochure there on the counter, and they told me that was an option. And so, so I used Care Credit and paid it off over a year and a half, I think.
Great.
Yeah.
What is the dog's name?
Her name's Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. So what happened to Brooklyn that made, she was sick, you said. What had happened to her?
Yeah, so she, we would always take her to the dog park because she was a really, really high energy dog. And she discovered these really small tennis balls that have squeakies in them.
Okay.
And she loved them.
Okay.
Would like find one and then just run around with it in her mouth for the entire time. But then we would try to leave and we would want to leave it at the park.
Right.
And so we would start like chasing her around to get the tennis ball.
Right.
So kind of her being, I guess, smart.
Okay.
She started swallowing them.
I'll show you. This is coming home with
yes,
us.
Totally. You will not take my tennis ball, and here's how. So
wow.
Yeah, so she would swallow them, and then she did it a few times, not a ton of times, but a few times, and we would find like kind of the next morning she would have like coughed it up or like kind of threw them up. So we would find them and be like, oh, this is the tennis ball that she swallowed the day before.
Gotcha.
So that was kind of becoming a thing.
Right, not good.
Yeah, so we would always try to like make sure she wouldn't ever get them, but people bring their dogs with small tennis balls all the time to the park. You can't regulate what other humans do.
Right.
So one day we actually didn't even see her swallow this particular tennis ball. We just assumed after like a few days when she stopped eating that maybe that was the problem.
Oh my gosh.
So we took her to the vet.
So you guys didn't know at this point. You're like, we think, based on past experiences, that she probably chewed up one of these and swallowed it.
Yeah, but because neither of us saw it actually happen.
You couldn't say it happened.
We couldn't say.
Got it.
So, you trust your vet, so whatever they say, you kind of go with. So they assumed that it was, I don't know if it's pancreatitis or pancreatitis.
Okay. I won't quote you on it. It's fine.
Yeah, one of those. But she was sick with something, and so they put her on a medication for a week or something like that. And
so still with the tennis ball in the belly.
Yeah, and
oh my.
And that it as most medications do, it treated the symptoms. So she had more energy all of a sudden, and she was eating again and seemed fine. And then kind of like the day that the medication ran out, she started acting really funny. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe it's just a side effect of the medication or, some kind of adjustment. So I gave it I think I gave it 24 hours, and she just got way worse.
So then you take her back.
Yeah, and they did x-rays, and they found the, like, thing that was lodged in her stomach.
Okay.
And... yeah, I think the only thing that they kind of, like, that was kind of the last thing that they could do until Monday. Because they couldn't
give her
do the x-rays. But they couldn't put her into surgery because it was too late. So they recommended that I go to an emergency vet clinic.
Of course. You don't want to wait over the weekend.
Yeah, I was like, well, if I just wait until Monday, do you think that she'll be okay? And they were like, maybe, but the chances are no. So probably, that's the risk that you can take if you're willing to. But
and you're like,
take
it's
that
been
risk.
a week already.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, so no, not taking a risk. So I went to an emergency clinic that was amazing. Actually, the veterinarian was the best vet I've ever seen in my life, actually, which was
so
amazing.
Wonderful. And in such a crazy time, probably just so warmed your heart to be like, okay, someone cares.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did they do the surgery on Friday, Saturday?
They did, Friday, right when I brought her in.
So did she get to come home the next day?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep.
So tell me what that felt like, because that sounds like a very emotional roller coaster that you rode.
Oh, yeah, it was wild. And it was only like maybe, 48 hours of, because I thought she was fine. I was like, oh, she's fixed. They did it.
Yep.
Amazing.
Good job. Yeah.
The medication worked. And so from going from like, she's totally better, the doctor fixed her, to, oh my God, she's not better, she's worse, and now it's still a mystery. I don't know what's going on. To you have to have emergency surgery, your dog might die. It was from a high to a low pretty quickly.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, but I mean, I felt pretty confident. I met the vet, who was this amazing woman, and I felt actually very comfortable
giving her Brooklyn. She seemed very, dogs do it all the time. They eat things, or
Right, of
there's
course.
certain breeds that like ingest rocks as like a, big, just,
It happens.
yeah, for like mineral supplementation.
Right.
And yeah, so it's not uncommon. So she was very confident that Brooklyn would be okay if she got the surgery. And then I brought her home, and it's hard to see your dog with like stitches in her belly and a cone, and she can't get in the car, and
Oh my
she was like
gosh.
a 60-pound dog. So
Oh
like
my
lifting her into
gosh!
the
I'm
car.
like imagining this little baby. Okay.
Oh no, she was a blue tick hound.
Wow.
So a big dog.
girl.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I don't know. We were just happy to have her home, and
Did she heal up pretty quick?
Yeah, yeah. She
And then
did
you're like,
great.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah, and she loved. She loves having a cone, which we learned from this experience.
Interesting.
Because she has a protective shield, so she can run into everything and just knock things over.
Oh my god! And you're like, and that's what you're wearing to the park from here on out because you are not eating another tennis ball no matter what.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh!
I think we stopped going to that dog park. after
I don't
that.
blame you. I don't blame. Maybe
Yeah.
put a little warning sign in the front of the park. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
So have you used the Care Credit credit card for anything else?
No, I haven't had to.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you still have it just in case.
I do have it. Yeah, and I have another dog. So yeah,
You're prepared.
I'm prepared.
If you could write a review for Care Credit just based on your whole experience, what would it say?
I think it would be very brief, honestly, which I think is the best way. I remember I made payments on it, and I did it over time, and I think I just had to deal with the payments, but I didn't have to deal with anything afterwards. It's just like very, very
Cut and
plain
dry.
and simple. Yeah,
That's great.
You use it, you pay it off, and then it just sits in your wallet until you need to use it again.
Which is good. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. We really appreciate it, and we wish you guys a happy, healthy life.
Thank you.
What an emotional roller coaster. Glad to hear that Rebecca's dog pulled through and is doing well. Remember, Care Credit is a leading national healthcare credit card that can enable you to get many of the procedures and treatments you want now and pay over time with everyday promotional financing on purchases of $200 or more. Care Credit is accepted at hundreds of thousands of locations nationwide to pay for care whenever you need and want it. If you are interested in applying for a Care Credit credit card or would like to find a provider in your area who accepts Care Credit, visit us at carecredit.com.